a short video about how to make your meshes watertight in ZBrush. This is really important for 3D printing, so you don't have like holes in the mesh. Otherwise it slices really weird. A really common issue is that there's two meshes with intersecting geometry. What happens is the slicer will make them solid, usually in between, wasting a lot of filament. All right, so let's get to it. So I have my model here. So it's two separate pieces. I have my base and I have my actual model. And what happens is most people will just merge their objects together and call it good. But what happens is if you go to transform, transparency, you can see that the model is intersecting with the base. It's not actually one continuous object. So what you can do is when you do merge them down, so now it looks like it's one object, but it's not actually. You can go to geometry. This is in the tool subpalette, by the way. Go to geometry and then Dynamesh. So I'm gonna zoom in here so I can see how my detail retention is going. And then I'm gonna put it up to like 1,000 and click Dynamesh. So Dynamesh finally happened. It took like 2 minutes and I cut all that out. So I just wanna show you guys, this is what the model looks like after Dynamesh, and this was before. So it's a little hard to tell, but essentially what's happening is a lot of the details have been completely blurred out. I'll go back and forth a few more times. I'll actually zoom in a little bit more. It looks like it's only a fine difference, but like on a resin printer, for example, those details will definitely be missed. Especially right here around her eye, it just completely blurs out, and I don't want that. And I put it on a really high resolution, hence why it took like 3 minutes to process. So I do have a model that is completely combined and it's one mesh. If I hold Shift F, it shows the polygroups. They're still recognized as separate pieces, but they're processed the same. So it's one solid mesh, not two intersecting lines. All right, so that's one way to make your mesh watertight, but obviously this isn't like the best way for this specific model because I ended up losing some detail and it took forever to process. So we're gonna do this one more time, but with live Boolean. So I'm gonna reopen the file because once you merge an object, it's permanent. All right, so here we are again. As you can tell, I have transparency on just to show that they're separate objects. And what you can do is you can go to render Booleans, and then enable live Boolean. Once that's been enabled, go to the first object that you want to be combined, click on that little arrow and say start. Everything below that will then be combined. Or you can click on like intersection, which is really cool because if you do that, it's called live Boolean because it'll show the results live. So now if I move this base up and down, you can see that's actually intersecting, which is really cool. You can use this for hard surface modeling. There's a lot of other applications. But for this, I obviously want it to combine. So I'm gonna move it down to the base here. Make sure everything is good. And then now I'm gonna go down to Boolean and click on Make Boolean Mesh. This will do the exact same thing as Dynamesh by combining the all watertight, but it's not changing the topology. So you saw there was some detail loss with Dynamesh, even though the resolution was really high. That's because it's actually remapping the topology. If you don't know what I mean by topology, I mean that like the polygons that make up the mesh. There's a bunch of little squares that make up the entire mesh, in case you didn't know. And just in case you're wondering, like, oh, you can always just increase Dynamesh. I use a specific model because I increased the resolution all the way, reduced blur, didn't work. I even divided the model, made a copy, and reprojected the details back on, and I was still missing details, which is really frustrating. So that's why live Boolean is fantastic because it's not changing the topology at all. It's just combining two models and making sure that any intersecting meshes are now becoming one, which is very important for 3D printing. So I actually clicked on Make Boolean Mesh on the bottom piece, nothing happened. You gotta make sure you have the top model or the top object selected, wherever it says start, in order for this to actually work. So now that I clicked on Make Boolean Mesh, you can see it's processing up here, slowly but surely, and then it'll be one solid continuous object. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. Hope this guys helps you out.